Welcome to Another Triathlon Podcast, the podcast that brings the electrifying world of triathlons right into your headphones. Journey into captivating conversations, share the excitement of race recaps, enjoy the humor only a triathlete would understand, and join us as we debunk myths and bring you the bare, thrilling truths of the triathlon world. So feel your heart pound, breathe in anticipation, and get ready to dive into the world of triathlon. This is Another Triathlon Podcast. Enjoy the ride.
Welcome back to Another Triathlon Podcast brought to you by Mauna Apparel. We're going to jump into some predictions for this weekend's racing. It was a bit of a quiet weekend last weekend, so we're going to have some fun breaking down some races that'll have some big impact between the T100 in San Francisco as well as Ironman Hamburg for the Ironman Pro Series. But first, we're going to catch up with the crew here. I'm joined by Josh today. Josh, how are you doing? How was your weekend full of triathlon?
Full of triathlon. Yeah, I was down in Austin, Texas for the annual CapTex Triathlon Festival, and that is now run by Supertri. So another piece of the mass participation aspect of Supertri spinoff into that world too, and acquired that triathlon late last year. So this was the first time running it, and worked with the existing company down there and just amazing. I went down Friday night, had my first Tex-Mex team dinner Friday night after literally going from the airport to the hotel, dropping my bike and my bags and going right to a YMCA to get my swim in. So my world had to continue, right? I had to fit everything in. And then I've kind of been battling the little bit of the peroneal tendon strain from my last race and been doing some elliptical work. So kind of got some of that in over the weekend, which when you're in a hotel, there's typically an elliptical. So that was easy to do. And yeah, it was off and running with helping out all of our sponsors and partners for the event, making sure I was doing that. We had some activations. On Saturday, I did a group ride with the MVDM coaching group, which was really neat to be welcomed in to be able to do something like that. I don't know where the heck to go, but I brought my bike and hopped in with them on a 7 a.m. ride Saturday morning. And lo and behold, the two guys up front were me and another kid from Mauna. We pulled We pulled the train for a lot of it, especially on some of the heavier efforts. And it was a long ride. We rode for probably close to 4 hours out there with just the stops. And we had a guy drop his bike maybe 25, 30 minutes into the ride. He was the guy right behind me. We're on a bike trail, which there's tons of, but next to a highway kind of situation. And I was the first one to turn around. Everyone kind of started to come back to him, see what was going on. He was bloodied up on his knee. His hip was all banged up. And we look and he's like, that's what did it. And there's this maybe 8-inch wide tarantula walking around on the on the trail. I mean, it was huge. And he tried to avoid it and dropped his bike. And so like 25 minutes into the ride, he's like, I think I'm going to just we're like, can we call you an Uber? But if we're going to do that, you got to get to the end of this portion of the trail and get somewhere. And he's like, no, I think I'll just ride back. So we lost him. And man, I've seen tarantulas before, but never like that.
It's giving me like shivers just thinking about it.
Sorry about the lack of warning on that, but yeah, it was an interesting start to the ride, and then we had just stops and people having little itty bitty mechanicals. Then we did a turn around at the gas station, and I forgot our question to the pros and like, what is the craziest thing you've eaten? I filled up water bottles and got a protein bar and got like your normal stuff, and I was like, I should have tried something like crazy, and I didn't do it. So my bad, I dropped the ball there, and we turned around, and all of a sudden this guy got a flat. So we stopped and he gets it back up and running. And then probably 15 minutes later, he's got another one. So, and then we completely checked the whole rim and there's nothing, but he ended up having 3 flats. So 2.5 hours of riding, I think we did in just under 4 hours. So it was a lot of starting and stopping. But it was really nice to go out, ride, know where you not have to worry about where you're going, not have to worry about your map and like just have somebody else tell you where to go and get some good pulls at some high watts and drafting and working on the bike skills, which I don't get to do often up here at all. So it was just a really neat experience. And when we were going in Poland, it was the two of us from Mauna up front, and finally got my new buddy linked into the Facebook group, and I think he's joining the WhatsApp channel, and it's he and his wife down there too, which are both part of it. And he was riding his sweet Argon 18 that he got dialed in through the Mauna discount. Yeah, so he made my bike look silly. So it was really neat. I mean, you talk about small world, right? And how big our community is getting within Mauna, and then just the triathlon community in general being welcoming and allowing me to come join that group ride. And
like, I find almost anywhere in the world I go, there ends up being someone in triathlon who's happy to like show you around or help you out, or a familiar face or someone you've, seen on social media where you're like, okay, I feel like I know you in there. But it is a big community, but it really isn't at the same time. You kind of start to see a lot of the same faces or team members all over the place. So that makes it a lot more fun.
yeah, it was definitely a cool way to kick off the weekend. I had met my team really in person for the first time the night before dinner, and then I had to get to the expo. So I'm like, oh God, we got to get back, and I got to get to help set up. But yeah, kudos to Natasha Vandermeer for setting that up, allowing me to do that. And then I got to meet her Saturday night at our little activation, Raw Nutrition, and was there helping Athletic Brewing and Fleet Feed and some other of our partners. And we got the whole expo set up and ready to go for Sunday morning. And then it was just a long day Sunday of being at the expo. I got my elliptical run in early in the morning, watching a little F1 Monaco racing while I did my elliptical. I felt like a gym bro or whatever you want to call them. Got off to the expo and just had a great time. There were a lot of people checking in. I think we had about 1,600 athletes and their friends and family come in. And so it was a big event, and the expo was really packed. So that was really neat to see, because that's the work that I'll be doing and being a part of. So I got to have some really good conversations with our partners. And then I was helping man one of our booths. Like, we have the booth set up for CapTex next year, and Kerrville, which is another event that we have coming up later in September in Texas. And we had little games for kids to play, like a candy machine that would have a thing that come out like win a prize, and we give them the quarter and they do that. So I was kind of helping keep the spirits up there, and people would come by and ask questions. And of course, we know a lot of the answers. They didn't have to go to the info booth and wait in line. So this guy later in the day came up with his 3 kids, his sister-in-law. And he's like, yeah, we just got here from San Antonio and excited. These guys are going to be racing their first triathlon. My sister-in-law is doing her first. I do them all the time. I'm a pastor from San Antonio. We just drove up, and he's like, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to race. I pulled into the garage and it was no problem. I cleared, and my big truck and all the bikes. But then there's another sign, and I hit it, and it broke off my seat post.
No.
So I got no way to ride. And I think at this point it was like 4:30. Bike expo ends at 6. Bike check-in by 6:30, something like that. So I was like, hey, look, I've got my bike with me. Why don't you drop me back? Let's go back to the hotel, grab my bike, and we can get back here in time. He's like, well, I got like somebody that might be coming with a backup bike or whatever. He's like, I don't know what it is, if it's going to fit. I was like, you're about my size. We can drop the seat post, do whatever we need to. Trust me, take my bike, use it. And we hopped back to my hotel room. I took my pedals off. He put his pedals on and moved the seat post a little bit. And he rode it around the garage. He's like, this seems good. Let's tighten up the handlebars. And off to transition we went, and put his stickers on, got the mechanic to index the gears a little bit, and racked his bike. And his kids were all excited because they wanted to be able to do the race with their dad for the first time. And yeah, he was good to go, and off they went to spend their night. And I didn't get to see him Sunday morning, but I was walking around with our title partner, Ascension Seton, and we were walking towards the swim start to get ready for the race, and they were going to be doing a few words after the national anthem. So I had the 2 people from their organization, and we're walking over, and one of the sons, this is like Sunday morning at 6:00 in the morning, 6:30 in the morning, maybe. And one of his younger sons, probably 13 years old, comes running over to me as he's getting ready, putting his tri kit on. And he's like, hey, Josh, thank you so much for giving my dad his bike. Like, that's so cool of you. And like, I get to race with him. Thank you so much. And I'm like, this is in front of our title partner. Like, this is really cool right now. And that is why we do what we do. Like, I mean, there were so many moments all weekend that reminded me like it's such a not a job that people would normally think about doing. And like I worked so hard to build a community and a network around what I was doing and switch industries and make a pretty big leap at this point in my life and my career. And everything was truly just validated in what I had done all weekend. It was just like really cool to watch. Like from that perspective, it was really hard being in transition and not setting up a bike and watching all these people get ready to get after it. But it was also really neat to take that perspective and be at the race as the organizer, as a facilitator, to be able to help other people get into the sport, enjoy the sport, and really get the most out of it when they're there on race day and making sure that they walk away wanting to do more. So to be able to watch it from that perspective was really neat and just really just validated everything that I've done to get there and looking forward to doing more. And it just really makes it easier to then be able to talk to others about what the experience can do and impact the community and then watch all the friends and family and the signs. And yeah, it was just a really, really awesome weekend. And just to be a part of it and what our missions are and goals are with Buy Supertri and increasing the mass participation at that level. And then working with USAT and working with Ironman to make sure that we're all kind of going after the same mission instead of competing and batting heads against each other.
Yeah. A rising tide lifts all ships for sure. And that's the way it needs to be approached, right? But kudos to you for lending that guy your bike. Like, that's one of those things that's so incredible about that, like, this community. And where I was in Australia, my bike didn't show up, and halfway around the world, it was just like,
Yeah.
hey, does anyone have a bike? And someone came to my rescue with one. And it's just, what other sport do you see that? Like, it's really, really cool to see how willing people are to help, whether it's helping you get into the sport, sharing tips and ideas on how you can get better, or handing over a bike, which, for most of us is one of our prized possessions because we spend so much time and investment on it and training on it. So that's very, very cool to see. So kudos to you for doing that.
No, thank you. And I didn't even think twice about it. Like other people are like, wait, you giving me a bike? And I was like, where am I mean, he's racing. It's like,
Yeah.
this guy's here, and it's just the whole background and the whole story. And he and I had a lot in common that we chatted about in the car ride and stuff. So it was meant to be. And I met his whole family the next day during the race. His wife came up and thanked me and stuff. So it was just really neat. Yeah, it's exactly what this whole thing is. And then got a nice 2-hour ride in yesterday morning right before I flew home, and literally got the 2-hour ride in, got back, packed my bike, packed my stuff, got in the Uber, went to the airport and walked right up to the gate and walked right on the plane with no wait whatsoever. It was like, we dialed in right there.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, it sounds like an absolutely incredible weekend. And see, you got the Supertri swag and everything going on. So
I got my Supertri hat. Yeah, excited for the rest of the season. And yeah, we just dropped yesterday that the first of the Pro Series is going to happen in Toronto. So that's July 26th is the pro race, and then July 27th is the mass participation festival. So that'll be a really awesome way to kick off the season in Canada.
Always happy to see more racing in Canada, though a little bit.
I knew you would like that. Wrong side, but we'll take it.
There we go.
Awesome. So how was your weekend? I saw a few longer rides yet again.
Yeah, had a few long rides, and the plan was going to be 3 days of kind of big rides again, which I've been getting into the groove of. Definitely, with all this big volume, it's a lot lower intensity, but that's my favorite. Just go ride at an aerobic effort for long periods of time. But unfortunately, on Sunday, life got in the way, as it always does for us, unless you're a pro athlete who can prioritize the training. So ended up taking a rest day on Sunday, which I wasn't too upset about because I had my high school reunion on Saturday night. And that was a trip. It is so bizarre, like going back and seeing these people that in high school, now they're parents and adults. And that was kind of weird, but it was fun to catch up with a few people, the few that I recognized in there. So
no, did they recognize you? I mean, I saw that picture that you put up of your high school yearbook.
Yeah, in high school, I was the chubby kid who did not play sports whatsoever. And now I'm a little bit more outspoken, a little bit more fit. And yeah, it was definitely a bit of a trip. So I was walking in there feeling pretty good because life is good right now. So that never hurts.
They wanted to know what medicine you were taking, that's for sure.
There we go. Yeah, so that was a lot of fun. And then, Sunday, just some life stuff came up. And so I said to my coach, hey, I'm just going to go do this long ride tomorrow and take this off because, if you kind of have that life stress on top of trying to get the training stress in, you can definitely push yourself over the edge, especially with the higher volumes and stuff. And that's why I have my coach to bounce those ideas off of. And that's half my job as a coach to the athletes that I coach is when that life stuff comes up, how do we adjust around it? Because at the end of the day, that has to take priority. Triathlon is the fun stuff, the hobby. It can't take over your entire life. But then I was able to get out Monday on a long ride outside, and it was so much fun. I took my gravel bike is the comfiest bike to ride and has all the climbing gears. So I went and changed 2 sets of tires over so I could get some road tires on my gravel bike. And just the fun part with my gravel bike, it doesn't have power either. And after 2 big days of riding, the goal for the day was just go ride long at an aerobic effort, which I know that feel. If you've been training at all, you know that aerobic effort feeling. You don't need the power numbers to tell you. And sometimes it's so nice just to disconnect from the data. So all I had on my bike computer was distance and time, nothing else, no speeds, no anything, and just went out and ride and play in the foothills here in Alberta. So
That's awesome.
Just good for the body and the soul. It was so fun. Just get out, disconnect, turn the pedals.
That was similar to my ride yesterday. It was like endurance ride, low watts, like just keep it. And I, for the most part, 95% of the ride, I had it on the map because I didn't know where the heck I was going. And I was on my own and then riding around Texas and trying to find trails across highways and things. So it was all feel. And it was really cool just to take it all in.
It is, yeah. Take the time, stop at the cafe. I had an amazing cinnamon bun at this place. The Cinnamon Spoon is my favorite kind of coffee stop over the years. And it was so fun. But putting in some big volume, I've got the T100 in Vancouver coming up in a couple weeks here. And I think I'll kind of be training through a little bit because the big goal this year is obviously the Ironman World Championships in Kona. But got a little bit trying to get in some big volume now because after that, it's a bit of chaos for a while. I'll be doing the T100 in Vancouver. And then I'm home for 2 days. And then I fly to San Diego to do the San Diego International. But I'm meeting up with some of our teammates for a long ride, like 2 days before the San Diego race. So that'll be more just go have a hard hit out after a T100 and then a 5-hour ride and then go to San Diego. And then we head from San Diego to Boulder for the Mauna training camp coming up on the 25th. So trying to get in some big training now because it's going to, with travel and events, tapering, recovering, camps, it's all going to be a little bit of chaos. So
big specific training. You're still going to get big training in. It's just going to be a little less specified probably and a little more like get in the volume.
Yeah, definitely. And with the Mauna camp, we have such a wide range of athletes coming out to it. So we'll definitely have some different pace groups going on in there. So as a coach, you don't always get the best training in during those, but for the boost you get just actually being able to coach in person and meet up with teammates, it's so worth it. I'm so looking forward to it.
Very similar to what I just experienced this weekend, right?
Exactly.
It's just being around it. It just gives your body that good vibe feeling of racing and training. And I get it. And I mean, you're going to have to be at T100 Vancouver in best shape too, because you're going to be the only Canadian redhead there, unfortunately.
I know. Paula Finley still doesn't have that US visa stuff worked out. So there won't be another. And she's Albertan too. So an Albertan Canadian redhead.
You guys are just connected.
She's a little bit faster than me though. I'll give her that.
Having a good year.
Definitely. Well, let's jump into some of that talking about T100 because we have the T100 in San Francisco coming up this weekend. And man, last year I was able to go out to that race and spectate it in person. And it was so much fun to watch, even with some of the crazy, foggy, cold weather. Hopefully they'll get a little bit more sunshine so you can actually see the Golden Gate Bridge in the background and the views and everything because it is such a stunning location. That one's really, really cool. Maybe we'll have another sprint finish this weekend, but that would be epic.
It would be epic. I think the guys' race could be. I mean, even like they're pretty packed fields, even though we've got, 19 or 20 of the slots are wild cards. So almost 50% between the two fields are wild cards. For a U.S. race, I think things will start to clean up a little bit the further we get into. So let's let San Francisco, Vancouver do their things. And then I think after that, it's going to get really tight. You're going to start getting the top 20 for the most part at most of these races if they're healthy. So it'll be really neat. I think all signs are pointing towards the weather to be similar than that it was last year. And I think the one question is, what's the current like?
Yeah.
Because
Where's the boat going to be? The boat
where's
was off last year for sure.
how does the boat handle the current and make sure it gets to where it's supposed to be, or else we could be in for another 14-15 minute swim, and that is great for the people like Sam Long, but unfortunately Sam Long's not doing the race this year. So the one race that you would think he would probably want to be at, he's not doing. So it
That's
just
what I
doesn't
was.
work out on his schedule, I guess.
Mhm. No, fair enough. Well, let's dive into who's actually racing this weekend. And as you mentioned, we do have quite a few wild cards. If you haven't been following along too closely with the T100, the contracted athletes, there's 20 contracted athletes, and they have to do a number of races throughout the year, but they don't have to do all of them. So that's where we see these wild cards jump in when they do have race openings. I'm surprised more of the contracted athletes aren't kind of taking it on early in the year, because near the back end, we've got things like the Ironman World Championships and 70.3 Worlds that I know a few athletes will be kind of doing the doubles. But at some point, they run out of races they can skip. But a lot of athletes are choosing to skip this one, it looks like. On the women's side, we've got Kate Waugh, Taylor Spivey, Ashley Gentle, Grace Beck, Marta Sanchez, Julie Duran, Jess Learmont, Lucy Byram, Taylor Knibb, Paula Finley, because she can actually make it there. Those are the contracted athletes that we're going to see on the course. At this race, we do have a lot of those wild cards. So we've got the likes of Megan McDonald, Perez, Hannah DeVette, Kleiser, Kat Kabocha, oh man, Lisa Baccaris, Diedrichs, Pierre, Victoria Lopez, and Holly Lawrence is coming back from pregnancy. So she was originally one of the contracted athletes in a previous year, and she had her baby. So she's coming back to give the T100 another try here. So, like we mentioned, this is stacked with a bunch of names that we haven't really seen race here yet. So it could definitely be an exciting race to mix it up.
I mean, we've only 10 of them did Singapore that are on this list. So like Megan McDonald is 5th in the T100 standings on this start list. So that kind of shows you how many people took off from Singapore. So yeah, we've got 10 doing their first T100 race of the year, including Taylor Knibb and Paula Finley, and then a bunch of wild cards. I'm really excited to see Holly Lawrence because look, she's coming off of a second place finish. That's the way I look at it.
All right.
No, third place finish in Miami, right? And a great showing, and that's where shortly thereafter she announced she was pregnant. So Miami, which was last March, something like that, I think. So it's been a while, but yeah, motherhood's hopefully suiting her well, and she's been posting a bunch of training videos, and looks like she's having a good go at it. So it'll be interesting to see what Holly Lawrence's shape is like coming into this, and then it'd be very interesting to see. I think another one that they should be concerned about is Victoria Lopes. Like, is the run form there? Because if she can swim bike like she did in St. George, and she's got the short course background, and mix the two of them up, she's definitely going to be right there on the swim. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But she's competing against the likes of Taylor Knibb, who just rode away from everyone last year. And like, this course just suits her so well. And it's going to be hard for people to stay with her on this bike course. But the likes of Paula Finley, Julie Duran, Ash Gentle, if it's not too cold, I would say, like, she really doesn't like the cold weather. And if it doesn't get too cold and it's a little warmer than it was last year, would be a huge factor, I think, for Ash, depending on the travel and all that how that goes. And then Kate Waugh. I mean, obviously Singapore was like, came out of nowhere, and we all knew that she was capable of racing well, but that was a surprise. And let's see how she backs that up. And I think she's on a lot of people's podiums, and she's just going to keep doing what she did there too. So a lot of different pieces that we could see play out at this race. And yeah, it's a pretty stacked field on the women's side.
Yeah. And you know what? This definitely, we have to take Singapore with a grain of salt when we look at kind of past results to predict going forward, because Singapore was really just a war of attrition with that heat, that humidity in there. It's some athletes handle that very, very well. That's where we typically see like an Ash Gentle do very well. She didn't unfortunately perform how she wanted, but a Kate Waugh, she's always overtraining and racing in Thailand and Asia and stuff. So she's definitely used to that heat. With these cold temperatures, It's, I think, going to mix it up completely. 'Cause when it gets cold like that, you can actually hammer and push, and that heat isn't going to be as big of a factor in there. So you can actually, I think it lends to the people who have those higher watts, those faster run paces, because they can actually hit those numbers. Someone like a, Taylor Nib kind of deal, because she's not restricted in there by trying to keep her body temperature lower. But I'm really excited to see this showdown between, we kind of have the big three that we've seen at this T100 with Ash Gentle. We got Taylor Nib. We've got, who else is on there?
Julie Duran.
Julie Duran, yeah. So we haven't seen too many of those head to head. And like you said, Kate Wilde, we don't know what she's going to do in these cooler temperatures after such a dominating performance at T100 in Singapore. So Ash Gentle, she doesn't like the cold. That's hit her a few times. I think it's going to feel very cold if it's similar to last year. Like spectating and walking around in there, I was frozen in like a hoodie.
Yeah.
Everything. We got some serious swim bike power, like Jess Learmont. She's always a monster on the bike. You got Paula Finley will be with her too. And then obviously Taylor Nib will be pushing it from the front. We'll see if anyone can hang on to Taylor Nib's wheel, especially everyone seems to have put a lot more focus on the bike. We know Ash Gentle changed coaches so that she would be doing more bike specific work. Paula Finley is always putting time into that bike, dialing it in. We've seen
She's
Julie.
Got a cycling coach now, right? So Paula's is another one, like with her cycling abilities, and then to go to a cycling coach and now win twice since. So
it's paying off. It's working.
Yeah. Well, we all knew they had to try and catch Taylor Nib somehow, right?
Yeah. Well, on that course too. So if you guys haven't seen the San Francisco course, they've got a pretty solid hill in there that they go over twice every single lap. So it's funny. I think that almost in some ways lends more benefit towards the ITU style athletes, because they are so used to that on-off high power, recover and hit it again, compared to more the Ironman traditional athletes are used to just down the TT bars, grind it away. So I think this gives a little bit more room for those ITU athletes. If they haven't spent the time that TT position getting it dialed, this is a really good course for it.
And technical with some of the descending off of those climbs too. So, and I think it's a tighter core city type feel to it as well. So it definitely involves a lot of different aspects of your abilities to ride a bike and then run off of it as well, with some of the different aspects that they get to run around the city with, and on grass, as we saw play a factor last year.
Yeah. And with this, and last year we kind of alluded to it. The boat was a little closer to shore than it should have been last year, and the swim ended up being like 12 or 13 minutes. And Sam Long was coming out of the water with Alistair Brownlee, which is something that does not happen.
No.
We could see
everything.
Yeah. And last year we had a couple people out of the swim fast because they swam the fastest line straight to shore and ran on the sand instead of doing the longer swim to the swim exit. So will we see more of that tactic going on from maybe some of the people who are worried they can't stay with that front group? Will they just go straight to shore, I'll run it in and hope to make the best time there?
It's definitely interesting. And I think at the end of the day, you'll probably see maybe one person try that tactic, and then everyone else are like, I'm going to play it safe and stick with the rest of them, because if I do that, I know I'm at least second out of the next 20, maybe. It's interesting, but I think we all know, like, the swim didn't really play a factor last year. It was a bike run race. Does that mean you risk it on the swim? Probably not.
Well, who do you think, Josh? Who do you think? Let's go podium on this one, because we do have so many top performers in this race. Who do you think will be on the podium here in San Francisco?
Man, it's hard not to take Taylor Nib for the win. Again.
Right?
I mean, she won by 5 minutes last year.
I don't think her margin will be as big this year. Honestly,
she rode away by 5 minutes. I think it was. She might have been caught on the run by a little bit, but it was. I really want to pick Paula. I just really think she's like in such good form right now in the bike.
And a good headspace, it seems like.
Yeah. Let's go with Paula for the upset.
Okay.
Taylor second. On Spivey, I would love to go with Spivey too, but it sounds like she's been battling some kind of a stomach bug or something. I guess a lot of people coming out of Yokohama were sick coming out of there, which tends to be the case sometimes. I'll go Kate Wath third. So I don't think Gentle's going to have the day. And Julie Duran, I know a lot of people picking her for the win too, but man, this field's stacked. Paula Paula, Taylor, Nib, and Kate Wathard.
Man, you have all the same three that I was going to say in there. So I'm going to
Well, I still love some big guys out there for you.
I know. Yeah, I think, Kate Watt, I've seen her do the Laguna Phuket try a few times though. There's some serious hills that she just flies over. So I think she'll like this hilly course in there. I got to go Taylor Nib for the win if you're not going to, because it's hard to see her beat in here. Paula Finlay in second, and let's see, who do we got in third? I want to pick let's go Holly Lawrence. She's going to come back. She's going to be fired up about being out there. She'll have that mom strength and have a blinder.
I mean, I think it's a great pick. I don't think enough people are talking about her in this race just because it's been so long, but
it's so unknown. Like it really is, but because, becoming a new mom, it can go one of two ways. It can be like a big challenge and stuff. Like I struggled for a long time afterwards, but sometimes they just bounce back so much stronger, and you have to be so much more like dialed in with your training. So it's not like I can do it whenever I want anything. It's like you have this period, make it count.
Yeah. And on top of that, you think about the freshness of it all too, without having the racing, but not even just the racing. Every one of these other ladies has traveled around the world in the last 14, 15 months. And Holly's been stuck in the same spot, moved maybe a couple 100 miles to train. That's about it. And that's a huge advantage sometimes.
Definitely. Let's jump over to the men's side here again. So we'll go through the contracted athletes first. We got Martin Van Riel, Yuri Kulin, Antonio Bineta Lopez, Mika Newt, Rico Bogan, Vincent Luis, Yella Geens, Kyle Smith, Peter Heinrich, Jason West, and Pearson. Yeah. So those are the contracted athletes. And then wildcards, we got, Bitados, the Greek guy.
Anecdotes potatoes.
Mark Dubrick, Jake Birtwhistle, Aaron Royal, Justin Reale, Jamie Riddle, and Kenji Neener on the wild card side. So again, we do see a lot of wild cards at this one, as a lot of people are kind of skipping that long travel over. Yeah, we had such a good finish at this race last year. That'd be fun to see if we can see something similar. But I think a lot of that was that swim, just because we had such a big group kind of coming together off that swim. Everyone was out at the same time. There was a little bit more holding on through the bike. What do you think? Are we going to see the same thing this year?
I mean, we got the same three, but you might get a 4 or 5-way sprint with some of the guys we're adding to the field. Like, I mean, does Vincent Luis finally show up in the T100 world and start to make his mark there? And you got Yella too, right? So there's a huge chance that this is going to be a tight run race for sure. And I think we could have 4 or 5 of them battling it out. They're definitely going to know that there's grass this time.
Yes.
Kyle Smith. And we're not going to stop to pick up our water cups, Kyle Smith, and then lose by 2 millimeters, Kyle Smith. So I think we're going to see a great race. And you've got the likes of like an Aaron Royal too, that are going to impact this swim. Maybe we do have that with Aaron and really sends it, because somebody like Aaron Royal really needs to have a separation in the swim to be an impact in the race overall from history and the way his races have gone. So again, I don't think the swim's going to overall impact the race, but somebody like Aaron Royal could try and say differently.
Dubrick, like the shark over there.
And Dubrick, does Dubrick go with him? Dubrick has won this race prior to it becoming a T100 race. So when it was the original Alcatraz, he won it in the last instance of that. Morgan Pearson coming back from the wrist injury. And Justin Reale, hometown boy, we've got a pretty good field. And Jason West, we saw in Chattanooga, is definitely in run form and had a pretty decent bike as well there. So
I think he's going to get blown bike on this one. That bike is gnarly.
Bike is gnarly, and we know we've got the big guys that are here. Martin Van Riel hasn't raced since his back-to-back South Africa, Singapore. So I would imagine he's pretty recovered and probably pretty fit and rebuilt back up for this one. So and with a little bit of a chip on his shoulder to come back and take the title away from Yella, who got him in the last head-to-head matchup, right?
Exactly. I'm so curious to see those two go head to head again. Because I've seen Yella did really well in Lake Las Vegas, where it was that really up and down hilly course the whole time. He definitely asserted that. This run isn't quite like that, but the bike is definitely going to be making them work for it.
Yeah, well, Yella did have a bad time in Singapore, but like you said, like war of attrition, right? If you don't show up and your body's not ready for those conditions, it's not gonna perform.
Gnarly.
Yeah. I do think this is going to be a different Martin Van Riel, and there may be a sprint finish, but I think it's going to be for second, and Martin's going to take the tape
off the front.
with the sprint finish between Yella, Kyle, and Vincent Luis for second, third, and fourth. So let's go, Martin, Vincent, Yella, 1, 2, 3.
Ooh, big shout there. Okay. I'd hope to see Vincent do well. He really, he's such a personality in the sport kind of
Playing
thing.
with the young guns again.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, man. Okay, let's see. I think Yella, he's just on this feel-good streak with T100 races, absolutely crushing it here. I think we're going to take Yella for the win. Martin Van Riel in second. And I think we're going to have a Jake Birtwhistle come up in third, run through and have a solid run. And if it comes down to a sprint, he's pretty good in a sprint situation.
It's a good call. Like we said, we've seen him have some good outings, some good segments of races this year. It just hasn't been able to put together a full swim bike run. Definitely capable of doing it.
A little bit shorter, so it'll come to points where he has a good one there. But yeah, all of this for both races, the men and the women's, how that swim turns out, if the boat's in the right location, if the currents are going the right way or the wrong way, that is going to mix it up entirely. So we could see a few different scenarios playing out based on that first swim, which, usually we have a decent idea of what's going to happen in the swim. This one with Alcatraz, anybody's guess.
No, you have no idea the way the current's going to be, where the boat drops them. There's so many factors into it that are just really cool aspects of this race. And that's why we're glad just to see them be racing in San Francisco.
Well, let's jump over. We've got the Ironman Pro Series. We've got the Ironman Hamburg European Championships, and it is a women's only race here. And again, we're looking for, these athletes are looking for points in the Ironman Pro Series. We have, once again,
speaking of heavy hitters,
this field. Oh my goodness, I'm so stoked for this one. So I'll go through kind of the top few names in here. We got Jackie Herring, Laura Philipp, Kat Matthews, Anne Reichman, Marjolaine Pierre, Sarah Spence, Danielle Lewis, Slavik Lovzeth, Marlene DeBauer, Els Visser, Steph Clutterbuck. This is going to be seriously good. But the matchup that everyone I think is talking about and heading up is the Kat Matthews versus Laura Philipp showdown on this course. And this course, if you haven't seen it, is a fast and furious one. There's definitely going to be some high speeds out there. Without having the hot temperatures of Texas, we could definitely see some faster paces. But there's been a lot of talk about potentially bringing down the Ironman world record, the Ironman record, which Kat did in Texas with cooler temperatures and a flat course here. But as it's been mentioned, the transitions are super long on this one. Yeah. It's a shame they don't try to do something to make that where the transitions are a little bit shorter, because this would be prime for it. With these kind of names up at the front, they're going to be pushing each other all day.
It's a good way to market a race, right? Known as the fastest Ironman in the circuit. It will get some more people to it. You'd grow their age group race for sure. I think Jackie went 8:13, 8:15, something like that last year. So super fast. And at that point, people were like, oh, Jackie's going to be doing an Ironman for the first time in 8 years. And next thing you know, she drops a low 8. So yeah, super fast course. And then you get the two of them battling like they did in Nice and pulling each other. That could get interesting. And Laura is definitely fit. She just had a great win at a 70.3. Not a big field or a Pro Series race or anything, but it was her first race of the season, and she pulled off a win in a 70.3. So nice little training day leading into this Ironman. Again, we see another person racing right before they do a big Ironman. I think she'll be okay, though. Yeah.
I think she'll be fine.
Yeah. So it's a really good field. I just don't know if somebody like Anne Reichman can hang with them out of the swim, because the swim is going to be pushed, and you're going to have a pretty decent pack there. And if you're not in that train on the bike, you're probably not going to be able to ride through or ride back.
Yeah, so we're going to see like a Steph Clutterbuck and like Marjolaine Pierre coming out of the water first in there and getting a little bit of a gap on the bike. And then should see someone like a Kat Matthews coming out next. And behind that, you're going to see Jackie Herring, Laura Philipp. They'll probably be around the same time, a minute or so back from Kat Matthews. So they'll have some work to do. The question is, will they catch her? Will they catch Kat Matthews before the end of the bike? And I can't see it happening. Like Kat has been riding so crazy strong. So she'll be kind of out of sight, out of mind. And that's always tougher when you're chasing down and you're seeing those gaps kind of extend. I don't think there'll be massive differences in the time. Like I know Laura Philipp has been putting a ton of time into the bike training, but I think we're going to see it's going to be the showdown on the run, which could make this super, super exciting. If Laura Phillips and Kat Matthews both have the day that they're kind of capable of, that run is going to be close. Seriously.
And this is a true TT, right?
Yeah. You know, like Marjolaine has been on such a flyer lately. Does she mix it up in there? Because she's going to be ahead of them out of the water. Not going to have the same bike times, but when they come by, is she going to tack onto the back of it with that 12-meter draft rule? She could stick around a little bit longer. And we definitely saw she was biking so well in her last race. Maybe she has put a lot more time in and can hang a little bit longer than we think.
Yeah, I mean, she certainly pulled away in Nice for a while and until Laura and Kat caught her. So how long is she out front in this one is probably the question before Kat comes flying by. And is Laura, how big is Laura's gap? Because I think, like you said, I don't know, without the climbing in Nice here in Hamburg, does Laura have the chance to catch up to Kat? Does Kat have that in the back of her mind strategy wise and maybe is pushing an extra 5 to 10 watts and be like, hey, I can push more than I pushed last year. And I'm going to keep her behind me because last year she beat me on the run. But then you got the Kat confidence level in her run too. Like, oh, I need to save some for my run because I know I can run with her. I just didn't have my day in Nice. And
yeah,
how much of that is a factor because she's so confident in her run as she should be. But then she's always humble too. Like I don't know what's going to happen on this day. Like every day is a new day racing. And she's just so dialed into respecting the sport, which is really cool to see too.
And the other thing with Kat too is she did Texas, 5 weeks ago? So like that is still a tough turnaround going Ironman to Ironman. And what's her headspace right now? Is it just secure some solid points for the Ironman Pro Series and not burn too many matches going into Kona? Because Kona will definitely be the biggest goal that makes the biggest difference. So she just kind of cruised through and I can't see Kat saying
no, she's going for a perfect score in the Pro Series. Come on now. She's like, I'm not letting Christian take the only perfect score this year.
Oh, she's going for that perfect score across the board, I'm sure.
Yeah. And to me, I think this is a message type race going into Kona because when you're talking about bike dynamics and bike course, obviously the weather is completely different, but this is about pushing power. And Nice was about technicality and being able to run off of a hard climb with a very mind-consuming descent. And this is, let's just see mano a mano and push power and race. So was this the race that Kat got DQ'd in last year? Is that what I think?
Oh, I can't remember.
I think this was the race she got DQ'd in last year.
Yeah. Yeah. And then she had to adjust the plan on the fly.
And then she had to add another one. Yeah.
Yeah, man. And she'll be looking for a little bit of comeback there because Laura Philipp has beat her in the past. So Kat Matthews, I'm sure will want to assert that dominance a little bit more. Well, let's give it a call here. Who do you think, Josh? Who do you got on the podium for this race?
Man. I'm gonna go Kat, Marjolaine, Jackie Herring. I think Laura Philipp is probably gonna push it too much on the bike, trying to bridge the gap. She is coming off a 70.3, and I just don't think she's there. Again, Kona is her ticket. She's not chasing the Pro Series. She's literally chasing Kona. This is a check-in for her, is my guess. And she's going to see how much she can push on the bike because she's going to have to in Kona as well.
Fun. Okay. I'm going to go Laura Philipp for the win there. Kat Matthews in second, but I think it's going to come down to the wire on that run who actually takes it. And then I'm going to say Jackie Herring in third. I think she's going to have a solid day out there. She's been getting stronger and stronger. So be good to see what time she can pull out on the course. Either way, this race is going to be so much fun to watch, and it will be broadcast because it's part of the Ironman Pro Series. So we're going to actually get a sense of what's going on past just the tracker, as long as the Wi-Fi doesn't go down for the whole.
Especially coming off that race in China this past weekend, where like the coverage was absolutely perfect and like HD quality, drone shots, and
well, let's jump in quickly with our social media post of the week. What do you got for us this week?
Well, if you did not see the influx of Hayden Wilde posts yesterday and everyone sharing the injury updates, he has finally dropped episode 1 of his recovery from the crash in Tokyo on the bike. So it was a really good. I watched it last night, and he gets really detailed and lets you follow around all of his rehab and into the hyperbaric oxygen chamber. And man, it's crazy. 2-3 days into his 2 to 3 days post-op. And this also, they also let you know too, there was a chance this was career ending if he couldn't get out of Tokyo and back to Belgium. So it was like there were some phone calls being made by people that were way up above Hayden to pull the strings that needed to be pulled to get him on an emergency flight back to Belgium. So I'll just say that, watch it. It's a really well done episode, and I would imagine the next 3 to 4 months are going to be pretty amazing must watch type YouTube episodes. So yeah, check out Hayden Wilde on his YouTube and subscribe so you don't miss those episodes.
Yeah, definitely have to check that one out on the next trainer ride. It's insane. And, it speaks to the value of being a high performing athlete, because if you're number 100 on the PTO list, you're not getting that same kind of assistance, I'm sure. But it's well deserved. And it sounds like he's putting everything into that recovery so he can be back and fighting. Well, we've got a what the F of this week, and this is something that I'm sure we'll get more info on over the next week or so, but there was a post out. It started on Slow Twitch and got over to the Pro Tri News guys, where there's potentially a ban on some of the rear mounting options for your bicycle. So it sounds like one interpretation of the rules is that you can't have both a water bottle and a flat kit on the back of your bike. And a lot of the more integrated triathlon, high-end triathlon bikes these days will have a little fairing-like attachment behind the rear wheel that has the flat kit, and then most people do put water bottles on the rear of their bike. From one interpretation of the rules, it sounds like you can only have one or the other, not both. But I think we're going to get a little bit more clarity over the next while, because it wouldn't make sense with so many of these bikes being developed to have that rear mount kit, and especially the Ironman bike sponsor is Quintana-Roo, and that is stock standard on most of their bikes to have that little kit. So I get the idea that they're trying to reduce the number of fairings on bicycles and making sure it's a little bit more fair from that aerodynamics point of view, but I think some clarity is needed on the actual rules and interpreting of them, because everything just seems so vague at this point.
Yeah, and how are they going to police that in the age group field? Like I know my bottle setup was quite obvious in Oceanside, and I wanted to test it for that reason, and it got flagged, but it was correct.
Yeah,
because I knew the rules. But there's not going to be there's too many bikes. I mean, there's like you said, they're stock. They're set up like that with the fairing on the back for your tools and for your tubes and for everything else you need to repair a flat. And with all the flat issues that we've had this year in the pro race, it's to me, I think we'll have clarifications on it, and we're not going to see anything, especially in the age group side of things. Like you can't just go ask people to go fix their $7,000 bike and change it up, or I don't know. Like you said, the Quintana-Roo is a piece and a factor to all of this, but it is just another, what is going on with these rules, and like who's coming up with them, and why are we doing this? Like, where's the safety issue there? It's, I mean, yeah, no, really, what is the safety issue? Like me having 3 bottles on the front is a little more of a safety issue than having 2 or 3 bottles off the back, for sure.
That's exactly it. It's, do they want to go UCI style where everything is policed to the length of your socks? Or do you want to stay Ironman where innovation and changing things and going fast has always been kind of the goal? So Hopefully we'll have a little bit more clarity in the coming weeks. We won't dive too much into it right now because, as I said, a lot of it's speculation and we haven't gotten clear answers yet. But I'm sure Ironman will come back with some kind of correction and hopefully in the future have some rules with a little bit more detail around it so that they aren't so vague. Until then, we will be back next week to break down everything that happened in San Francisco and Hamburg, and we look forward to chatting about all of it. Thank you, as always, for joining me, Josh. We'll see you next week.
See you next week. And if you haven't liked and subscribed, make sure you do that. And also, we've got some big guests coming up for our 100th and around our 100th episode coming up, which is crazy to say. But if you have any guesses on who you think we might have on, go ahead and drop those in a comment or on the messages. Love to hear it.
Yeah, we'll give you guys a little bit of a hint for our 100th episode. We have a guest that Jack Kelly has said he's never been able to get on. So give a little bit of a teaser there, but we will have them on for our 100th episode. And yeah, definitely go give, like, subscribe. Any comments on iTunes or Spotify or YouTube definitely help us out a ton so that we can keep coming back and bringing you a little insight, having a little fun, and chatting about training.
Awesome. Have a good one, everyone.